Okay. How about now? No sound. Sorry, I missed the live stream chat. It took me to get all the way over to YouTube. Okay, one step at a time. There we go. We should be now not muted. Yeah, okay. I see some hearts and some thumbs up. Okay, awesome. I'm glad we figured that out. It was going to be going to take me a minute clearly to figure it out. Awesome. All thumbs up. Sounds good. Everyone says it's working, and it's working on all three platforms. Again, from what I can tell, that's pretty fantastic. Okay, so now we've gotten over that first technical hurdle. We're live on all three platforms. Awesome. Thanks for joining us today on this technical tryout, and a big, again, shout out to Rumble for being the best free speech platform out there to date during the pandemic. They were one of the few places I actually went to try to find people like Steve Kirsch and other, I guess, data lovers. I BitChute for a little while, Odyssey too, but anyways, just a quick shout out to Rumble there before we jump on to the next part. Okay, so we've been watching Bitcoin here moving out of this widening megaphone pattern for the last few months. I guess I read a good tweet by Scott Adams this morning saying not only should you own Bitcoin as a part of your diversified portfolio, but you should probably have a Rumble account too, because YouTube could be gone at any moment. We've followed up this nice channel here. We've broken out basically into new all-time highs faster than I thought we would, probably by about 2 months, showing the strength of this bull market early on. I think been riding some really nice waves. Solana and Avalanche have continued to remain strong while everything is kind of down this last week. Here we have the 2-day chart for Bitcoin. We are at the top of the trading range. Again, I was looking for some implied volatility here of some type of LPS, somewhere around this area where our previous all-time high was. So our last point of supply or last point of support, it depends. I think the last point of supply is probably the best translation of what LPS was from Wyckoff's analogy. But we have the VPR shelf back down here at 57,000, subtle ones at 61, and then 67 where we've already touched into. So do we revisit the $57,000 VPR shelf support? Again, it would be nice to see an SOS and LPS before the market kind of fully takes off outwards. And then it would just give us some breathing time. But that might not be the case as we go to take a look at some of the blocks data here. We are sharing this the previous week. Tons of inflows. The spot ETF inflow is significantly higher than the outflows. Yeah, here we go. This is a pretty decent. Let's go zoom on all. Yeah, again, day over day, the inflows are significantly higher. A few spike of outflow the last 2 weeks, but again, nothing compared to the first few weeks of GBTC selling. Yeah, again, GBTC is still the main spot seller at 28.5 billion. That's a shit ton of Bitcoin. Spot ETF daily volume, again, most of it coming from GBTC on the sales side. On the buy side, IBIT is the driver there too. What is there? Oh, this is probably my favorite one, the spot Bitcoin holding ETF on flow chains. Let's go expanded. Oh, there we go. Yeah, a little bit better breakdown here. You can see most of the outflows from GBTC, from 96,000, 4,800 Bitcoin as of the other day. The day before was only 1,000 Bitcoin, 7,400 Bitcoin, but still, again, a significantly larger inflows than outflows on all the ETFs. So price movement is likely going to continue to drive onwards and upwards, but it would still be nice to see some type of LPS movement here. Again, if we go into Bitcoin's most recent history and we look at what happened near the top of the trading range, again, we see a similar story from spring and test to reaccumulation through the bottom of the middle of the range, which is what we saw, I believe, between 15,000 around here, and then the recent jumps to 22,000 like this, and then our most recent move to 70,000 like this. Again, at the previous top here, we did see some LPS type structuring, which brought us down to around a 17% draw of current price, which if we were to have something similar to that today, we're actually pretty close. 17% drawdown here would be around 61. Yeah, 60. So just above that 57,000 VPR shelf we were just looking at. So we could see some bottom or some downside, but it's mostly up. And again, if we go back even further in history and look at Bitcoin from the 2013 cycle or 2017, 2013 cycles, a little bit bigger of a drawdown near the LPS and more than once here of around 30%. Again, here, a few LPSs in the right at the top of the trading range effectively. So seeing an LPS here is perfect. The bigger, I guess, the better. This will be your last chance to dance for many of these. Ethereum also following through our long-term reaccumulation ranges here. Currently in what appears to be an LPS movement. So we've completed our first SOS and LPS structures for Ethereum now too. Remember when we go back, the price was all the way back down here not long ago. Feels like not long ago. And this was our first kind of primary SOS and LPS or SOS and what's more technically correct calling a backup phase. So we saw both our SOS and our backup phases outside of the box. Our nice SOS and LPS are taking place right now for the formation of probably the finality of the bull market over the next 12 months. It would be nice to see again. I always hope for some nice horizontal reaccumulation range to take place here, as we had seen kind of with Avalanche. Now, looking at Avalanche on the 4-hour, let's jump into the daily, give a little bit nicer picture here. So here's what a reaccumulation on the 4-hour looks like. Avalanche, creek test, jump. We're in our first SOS and finalizing the backup phases now. So we can add that to our SOS. We can add that to our charting. Here, we've now completed or are in the process of completing the SOS phase. On the smaller time frames, we get a little bit clearer of a picture that we're probably in a reaccumulation range and about to break out. I suspect that with the hard movement out of the previous range and all those strong tests, what we are in right now is the last horizontal accumulation range in Avalanche before it shoots up to around $80. Solana also very similar, almost identical picture, although Solana is performing stronger than Avalanche here. Again, to the much less liquidity on the backside of the SOS and backup phases. So the first SOS is completed. The first backup phase, which is this really harsh drawdown we saw the other day, all the way to the middle of the box. And very, very shortly afterwards, I mean, from the bottom of that wick to here, it's almost 70% in Solana in the last 7 days. So once the SOS and LPS phase start to move there, it's very fast. All this time is spent accumulating so that you can take advantage of this really very brief process. It's always nice to try to time it perfectly, but that's obviously very difficult to do. So there are strategies. Some I've got pretty good. Some of them not so good. I think a broad spectrum strategy of entering near the jack and the jack test here is probably the most lucrative and where you have to be the least patient. These SOS and backup phases, though, again, too, once you're in the SOS, even from the middle of where we are here in the SOS, that's still 45 to 50%. So, and you only had to wait for like 10 days. So instead of waiting, 40 days to build a trade, there's only a kind of a 10 to 20 day period, which is really where all the strength of that moment comes from. So Avalanche, again, looking like it's in that last part of its SOS and backup phase as well, building a little bit of strength and support right above the previous high in this move, dipping down to around 48 just for a second to wick into the highs and turning around, likely building this SOS and backup phase before ripping to around $80. Fetch found its first kind of moment of consolidation, but even still strong as fuck. This thing, every time it dropped here, what was it? It dropped 18%. And on the turnaround candle, returned 20%. So very, very harsh volatile movements. Increasing volatility in Fetch probably means we're on our way towards the top, but geez, calling the top of this one, just enjoy the ride, I guess. Sometimes let the winners ride for a lot longer than we would have expected. I mean, since the very first video of this cycle we looked at, it fetches up 7x from the middle of the box or from the earlier part of the year when we started watching even higher, which is just incredible. So I do suspect this increased volatility in the markets is also likely going to be somewhere near the top. Not the top yet. As Bitcoin just reached into new all-time highs, I suspect we're going to see many others reach into new all-time highs as well. Bitcoin was the first though, or like one of the first still though, which is quite amazing. I started poking around looking at Mina and a few others near as fun, just to kind of check back up on where our initial charts were. So near, for instance, we were watching with the private group as well, and it's actually performed very, very well. It's already broke through its previous resistance range. As you can see, we had a nice falling wedge, move into spring, SOS, backup phase, and now we've moved into the secondary SOS and will likely be an LPS phase before the kind of the finality and probably breakout close to previous all-time highs as well here. I think everything's pretty much going to do that. I think you're going to see strong SOS, LPS, SOS, LPS in many assets. And retail is just starting to show up. Many of the people who are not solely focused on what's going on in this world, we're starting to pay more attention again. So this is where profits are also being taken, is in these SOS phases, remembering that the long-term market maker and operator's plan is to spend multiple years, 3 to 4, 5, 600 days accumulating an asset to drastically mark the price up over the asset. We're already 318% up from the middle of the box for near here as well, until retail starts to go in, and then spend a year or two basically selling onto retail, buying the falling knives of these assets. So Bitcoin still remains the storehouse of value within kind of all of this. But once you know how this style works, there's a few different ways to make it work for you in terms of strategy as well. So I got a lot of great messages from all of the private bear members over the last 3 months. I got a few really good thank you messages as well. So nice to see how you are all making use of the valuable data and time as well. So kind of fun to see. We are live streaming on both YouTube and Rumble right now. So it says 110 live streams on YouTube and 64 on Rumble. That's actually pretty good. I mean, considering I've been doing YouTube for years, and it's our first year. Hey, Nick's in the chat too, and I want to give a shout out to Nick Namoff there. He sent me a message and pointed me in the direction of this Rumble studio here too. So shout out to Nick and Rumble for dropping in the chat there. I appreciate it. Where did I want to go next? There's some things I wanted to look at. I just want to make sure it's all working actually first, I guess, or how smoothly it's working. It's not saying that X is live. Live view count is not available for X. Oh, okay. So maybe I'll just roll over to X here and see how it's going for fun. Okay, cool. It is working on X. 194 views. Again, you normally have to pay for this app. So if you are a content creator and you're watching this, try the Rumble Studio. It's super helpful. It's safe and effective so far. I don't know how much further I want to take that joke, but we are on Rumble at least, so we won't get kicked off there, which is good. Okay, well, this is amazing. Live streams working on Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube. I can see the chat, I believe, on all of them too. Oh, great. Here's the awesome. I can see all of your guys' comments. Let's scroll down here. Love Stong says, love your TA and analysis on everything, included the calmness. Your rants are also my favorite. Nice. Jesse M drops a heart. Just made a Rumble account. Alexander says, awesome, Alexander. Rumble will be stoked. Okay, take a look at Magic Soul. Okay, yeah. Will you ever do medical journals again? Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I think I would like to open a secondary podcast eventually, so we can have more cutting edge, might get you banned or burned at the stake as a witch conversations. Those are usually my favorite. Do you think AVAX is ready to rip? It's up like 60% since the bottom of the box, so it's ripping. It is currently in rip mode, from what I understand. Okay, let's go back here. Maybe we'll take a look really quickly at. Oh yeah, just for fun, the ultimate short of the year, if you wanted to go the opposite direction of going long since the pandemic, would have been Pfizer. Pfizer here showing us almost 60% drawdown in prices below 2020 prices. Actually, how far back does this go? We're gonna have to give us the week chart. We are back to 2013 highs, I guess, which is the previous low. Will it go lower? Probably. Yes. In fact, this is a market structure that looks like it's going to go a lot lower. Known for their fraudulent marketing practices and criminal behavior, Pfizer is going all the way to the floor. Okay, so we just want to make sure we are looking at assets that are also going down. So just everything go up. So you don't think we're just up only people. Certain things will go down. You can make bets on it. Let's take a look. Actually, well, let's look at Monster for fun, just because Monster is a kind of a favorite, ridiculous stonk. Seeing it was a stonk person who asked some of the questions. Yeah, actually, from 2021, Monster isn't still new all-time highs. That's absolutely amazing. Oh, Link. Yes, let's go back. Here we go to our favorites. Well, I want to look at the S&P 500. That's always down in stonks. Okay, interesting here. Again, it appears that Chainlink is in its backup phase. We're seeing more volatility in the backup phase than I would like. But if you look at the overall structure of Link, it's been kind of volatile without the range anyways. Not super clear, but always breaking out. So normally this type of structure here, you've got automatic rally, upthrust, spring, upthrust, almost to the top. Test, spring, and then your first kind of SOSs. So I suspect that we're still in the backup phase and we'll reach to previous highs around $34. But this increased volatility throughout both of these ranges is a little bit confusing, right? It has a lot of returns to the bottom of the box. So it's been a little bit confused by Link on that one, but I do still believe it's going to go higher here based off its market structure today. What else did I want to look at? All right, I wanted to finish off on stonks here. Where's my stunk? Okay, S&P 500. S&P 500 showing a subtle loss of strength here within its rising channel. I suspect, again, maybe the S&P 500 here having a little bit of a breakdown and our final LPS phases for Bitcoin take place here. That would be awesome. It does look like we're topping out here on the S&P 500. We have a lot of divergence to the downside. But again, in a bull market, divergence to the downside can run for longer than you suspect. So let's go out to the weekly and see if there's divergent there. There's still not a lot of divergence on the weekly, but we are peaked out on the RSI. So some type of negative here would be fun. And it would be great to see that align with that kind of retest the VPR shelf around 61,000, if maybe even as low as 58,000 here. So these two will probably align. Again, because Avalanche and Solana are still in their run here, they'll continue and probably finish the run right at the same time as those things start to peel over and turn around. I wanted to look at the dollar probably to end this off here for today's show. Dollar showing a bit of strength. My personal guess here based off structure is that we're actually headed into a further distribution for the dollar and then probably a bounce somewhere down here, which would be interesting because it would make this, again, a larger reaccumulation structure. So I'll have to keep an eye on that one. I do suspect that as other currencies start to fail, they're going to rush to the US dollar thinking that this is where they should be. And that's probably about to come next because a lot of these countries are in the prime position to start printing their own currency and flooding their internal markets to make it easier to buy things from the US export market again. So I think that's probably coming shortly down the hallway. And it would make sense because the third world countries need it, basically, if that makes sense. Need it. I don't know if that's how you say it properly, but yeah, they kind of need it right now. Okay, let's go back. Everything seems to be working. Oh, wow, 133 live streams on Rumble. Again, shout out to the Rumble team. I should probably just go a little bit longer to see, because I know, let's see, Rumble said that Nick said he might drop us off in the editor's pick section. So if you haven't yet gone to Rumble, sign up there. We're going to post all of our streams here. Maybe we'll do some specific podcasts in the future that we can't do on YouTube anymore. Maybe we could try that here too. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, you can tell who I thought. Bar Spool Store. Let's see. He said in the editor's picks. Yeah, I hope he didn't because this is our first stream, so we don't want to be up there yet. Oh, it is. Wow. He did drop it in editor's picks. Nick, thank you so much. Again, if you guys are new to the Rumble side of things, sign up here because it's like for me, yeah, and I love Scott Adams' approach here too. This is like being diversified here. You need Rumble in your portfolio. You need alongside X because one day YouTube could just kick me off because I say ivermectin or something. So YouTube is ridiculous and stupid. So again, shout out to the Rumble team. Yeah, there we are. Look, he's got us on the editor's picks section. So thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate that. Let's say actually, one of the things, I was kind of thinking about this morning is that the Twitter section is so much fun scrolling around watching what's kind of trending. So I'll have to spend more time in Rumble. There's a few followers or a few creators I like specifically come to Rumble to watch their videos because they just can't post videos anywhere else. They're usually people that can't post videos anywhere else. But now I'm over here on Rumble too. So we're oh yeah, awesome. This is such a great platform they've built here. I was also looking at heading to Dubai. Got a call this morning about maybe a second conference to go to just a week before the Blockchain Global Congress and Token 2049. So we're going to see if maybe we head to Dubai. I haven't been over there before. We have corporations over there, but I have never been over there. So it might be high time for a visit. And it's like just the right time in the market to be going out and visiting people too. So Tio in a suit looks pretty damn good. Why not? Might as well go and try it out. Rumble will definitely allow you to read medical journals. Great. Yes. Oh, you want me to chart Boeing? Okay, I will. That'll. I haven't actually looked at Boeing's chart. That will actually be fun. Boeing, the company. Actually, Boeing might look like it's at the bottom of its chart more so than needing to go much lower. But yeah, over the last basically since 2020, it's just been wrecked. I mean, on February 11th, a month before March 11th, you had a 74% drawdown in Boeing. That's incredible. Interesting. Boeing's a very interesting chart. You can see here again the nice reaccumulation patterns that took place before the breakout and the type of SOS and backup phases that you can have here, because this is technically an accumulation channel. It's very deceiving that this is an upthrust or an SOS with a backup all the way to the middle of the box. But also, I think it just implied further volatility for Boeing, clearly. Yeah, it doesn't look good. No, we could very easily come back down to this 117 mark, but let's see. Yeah, red almost across the board here today, and except for just a few assets. So I think being a bit more defensive with capital here in the next little while is probably appropriate. We're up pretty high. Some of these things look like they're finishing. Psi here looks like it's maybe finishing a reaccumulation range. It could start a run or a breakout here pretty shortly. I'd keep an eye on this one. Let's actually move it up just for fun. Oh, that's way below oil. Benki went for a little run, but reclaimed sent back most of those gains pretty quickly here. Yeah, big breakout and return to the middle of the box quite fast. 54% and return back to 13% growth in just a few hours. So a lot of these are turning out to be rejections. Injective here too looks like it just completed its SOS and move into a backup phase. But this will be really important to keep an eye on how these unfold, because this could be a moment where they switch into distribution. So keep a close eye. I'd be somewhat defensive just because the S&P 500 could turn around and Bitcoin could drop 10 grand here. It's not the end of the bull market. It's just the last chance to dance and pack the bags for the rest of this ride, I believe. So, but it's interesting to see again that Injective and a few others are forming what might potentially be stronger reaccumulation ranges as well. So worth keeping an eye on. But many of the assets right now are deep in the red. 9% in the red on Aave, 8%, 9% on Uniswap. Matic, 810 on meme. Yeah, red pretty much across the board, except for just a very few assets. So we're actually going to move Psy up here too and keep a close eye on it. Because it looks like it might be in the final stages of its backup. Oh, you asked about Magic. There's a few of ours here that are gaming tokens that have started to perform well. Some of our early venture stuff. It looks like it's maybe right at the backup phase here too. We could even make an argument that this is a widening megaphone pattern here for Magic as kind of its back of the box spring, so that if this was its larger reaccumulation where you had a smaller reaccumulation pattern over here, which was effectively a double bottom before the breakout, the SOS in the backup phase, it really just took us pretty much all the way back down. And then now we're forming what's likely going to be jump into an SOS. So I think $2 to $3 for Magic here in the very near future is likely, because we're rising on a very bearish RSI too, which can be quite bullish. It also means we could have a quick liquidity check down to around 88 cents before starting that move, because there's clearly volatility in there still, but something to keep an eye on. Okay, great. Everything worked out well. We'll leave it at that for today. That was the main point. I wanted to make sure the live stream was working, so we knew that we could just jump on and do that. So again, big shout out to Rumble. We will now be live on Rumble every time we go live on YouTube and Twitter as well, or X. So thanks for that. Super awesome. We're going to push the screen all the way back over. Actually, I'll just leave it here for now. Thanks, Bear Family, new Rumble family, and live on X. Pretty cool to see. We'll see you guys on the next episodes. Boom.